Hello, everyone, and welcome to 3YTV Tonight's broadcast of the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Monday Night Thunder in the Total Nonstop Racing League. I'm Peter Short and Garrett Gleason alongside me. Talladega Super Speedway here tonight. The Mason-Dixon ESports 150 Super Speedway action here tonight. Garrett, going to be a lot of fun to see these drivers whip their way around the 2.66-mile Talladega Super Speedway, bump drafting, and, of course, the big one. We will have to watch out for that here tonight.
Yeah, let's hope we don't have it, Peter. These guys are going to race hard. They're all going for the win. I'm hoping we can get as many trucks to the finish line as humanly possible. But like you said, it's Talladega and anything can happen out there. And I wouldn't be surprised if we had a big winner too tonight, Peter.
Yeah, we will wait and see. Just the 13 seconds left here in the practice session before we move over into qualifying. Nick Chambrone and Mike Floppy-Telly are 1-2. Bill Edwards and Alonso Chicano up there near the board. And, of course, the butt kicker challenge in effect. Garrett, probably the best opportunity to go for the butt kicker challenge here tonight because qualifying at a super speedway, it does matter a little bit, but it doesn't matter a whole lot. You can slice and dice your way up through the field pretty quickly to get your way up to the front of the field. And it was me. If I got the pole, I'd definitely participate in that butt kicker challenge.
Yeah, Peter, there's really no reason not to do it here at Talladega. You could get yourself back to the front in a lap or two if you really try out there. So I'm looking for these guys to make an attempt at qualifying, and if you happen to start on the front row there in P1, I look for them to take up the opportunity to have the butt kicker challenge tonight, and we'll have something else to keep an eye on throughout this race.
And if you don't know what the butt kicker challenge is, well, the butt kicker challenge is the opportunity for the pole winner here tonight to start at the tail end of the field, and if they win, if they get in the top three, they get some extra cash at the end of the night. So we'll see whether or not the pole sitter elects to do that. We got Steven Doziak in the chat here tonight. We got the Windsors rooting on Bill Edwards, and Coms69 saying, let's get it here tonight. Tana Himmelman saying, hey, y'all, let's go, Ben. And Andrew, of course, Ben Adams and Andrew Himmelman. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. And likewise, Tana, to you and your family. Hopefully everyone has a great, safe, and fun Thanksgiving here upcoming as the Stay Tuned Sports number 12. It is the Stay Tuned Sports Monday Night Thunders. That's why we're focusing on the 12 here. The wild child of John Cannizzaro. We will be keeping our eyes on him here tonight. An aggressive driver, Garrett, and he's going to be one that here on these high banks might be slicing and dicing his way up to the front.
Well, Peter, he does that at a short track, so I definitely expect him to be doing it here at Talladega. Cannizzaro wants to win every race he's in, which is the right mentality to have as a race car driver, but we've seen him take some risks out there that haven't paid off, but we've also seen him take risks out there, and he's won races, so we'll see what category tonight falls into as we're looking at our race sponsor, Jason Freeman, and the Mason-Dixon ESports machine taking his warm-up lap.
Yeah, and there's a link in the description to the Mason-Dixon ESports Facebook page if you guys want to go check that out while you're watching tonight's broadcast. And Jason Freeman there in his number 20 truck, going to try and put it up front and keep it up front here tonight. Only 150 miles. We expect this race to click by fairly quickly if they can keep things green flag. And Garrett, green flag is not always a bad thing here at Talladega. Make for some interesting races. I've seen Talladega races come down to fuel mileage. I've seen Talladega races be decided on pit road. I've seen Talladega races be decided in the last 10 inches of the race with cars upside down. I mean, this racetrack, you don't really know what it's going to entail until the checkered flag falls.
Yeah, Peter, we've talked about before in our past races at super speedways, if you're in the field tonight, you can win. And you might not win in the most conventional way, but if you're running, coming to the checkered flag, and you're on the lead lap, you have a chance of winning this race. And I think that's all you can really ask for as a race car driver. Some races you're going to go to, you know it's not your best track. You're not going to have an opportunity to win. But when you come to Talladega, everyone thinks they can win, and that's what makes this place so special.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're watching the number 50 of Bill Edwards. We got Bill Edwards fans in the chat, and Edwards currently is going to be 6th position on the board as these drivers still continue to trickle on past the start-finish line. We've had just about 17 drivers take time. John Cannizzaro Jr. right there is fastest of all in his Chevy Silverado, getting a little bit sideways. You can actually see butt kicker on the side of the number 12, so that means he has to go for the butt kicker challenge, right? If he's got butt kicker on that machine. There's the number 1 Jason Gracias, was the number 1 of Jason Gracias before he elected to pull it off the side of the racetrack. Bob Giaquinto in his Bobby Hamilton throwback, the Polyhedral Cathedral number 23 right there on the screen. He's going to be 17th on the board. Andrew Himmelman in his Sim Shots number 8. He just jumped up to 12th, not the qualifying time that he was looking for. Mitchell Adams and Tristan Maher still out there. I think Maher is on his flying lap, but I could be wrong. Might have just completed his second lap time. We'll keep our eyes on a new look for the number 98 machine. Kind of a Tron vibe on Maher's F-150 here tonight. But folks in the chat, if you're in the United States, have a great Thanksgiving. Of course, it is Thanksgiving this Thursday, so we have no races here on 3Y TV for the remainder of the week. You got the only one, I think, here tonight on the channel, as we just have 16 seconds left, and we will see whether or not John Canizaro Jr. elects to do that butt kicker challenge and start at the back of the field. And, I mean, surely he will. Surely he will, Garrett. I would not expect him to start at the front, but we'll see. Perhaps he will. But there's money on the line. You don't get that very often in sim racing.
No, you certainly don't get that all the time, Peter, and this is a tremendous opportunity, especially with Butt Kicker on his truck as one of his associate sponsors. If you want to get their name out there more, if they're supporting you, they're supporting this league, go take the challenge. We'll give you more camera time, and we'll have a blast following your journey throughout the race, trying to get back into that top 3.
Yeah, there he is, just now rolling out there onto the racetrack, so we will see whether or not he'll participate in that butt kicker challenge. It's probably one of the easiest races to win it at least from the fact you have to start at the back to get your way to the front. It's probably the easiest to get up to the front, but might be one of the more difficult ones to win. So last week at Darlington, no one elected to do it. Darlington's a hard racetrack to get up to the front here, much easier. So I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that number 12 take it, but he's out there on the racetrack right now with a couple of other trucks, just getting some late-minute drafting practice in this particular warm-up session here, Garrett. And oh my goodness, Bavacqua into the wall, up and over the number 1, I believe that was, a Jason Gracias, and I don't think that was Gracias. Couldn't quite tell who that was back there in that machine. Was that... No, who was that? I can't tell. A couple of new faces. Jaron Hazen in the number 9 out there here tonight. There is that Toyota, and he's staying tuned to the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. Of course, Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, the series sponsor. And if you have not checked out Stay Tuned Sports and their podcast, there's a link to their Podbean in the description, so you can listen to them whenever you want to, just by coming to these YouTube videos. Make sure to click that link and listen to what they have to say. And Garrett, I know your Giants are playing right now, and I think Stay Tuned Sports already saying that they're down by 14. Yikes.
Well, they're only down by 4. It's 7-3, unless I just missed something. But Jimbo's he probably celebrated a little too hard after the Eagles won yesterday, and he might be under the influence still. So that's how those Eagle fans, they all are. They get a win and they just go to town because they never know when they might get one again.
Yeah, you never really know, do you, when the Eagles are going to win again. Jamar Dumas in the 28. He got a little bit loose down there. The Pittsburgh Penguins Chevy Silverado. A couple of these other drivers bump drafting here as we have about 25 seconds until we move over into the race session. We'll find out whether or not the butt kicker challenge will be partook by John Canizaro Jr. But it's going to be a wild race here tonight in the Monday Night Thunder, bringing the Thunder here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. You're saying, leave the Giants alone in the chat. Man, I think we got some Giants haters out there. So, you know, it is what it is. That's football for you.
Yeah, give me another 3 quarters, Peter, and I might be a Giants hater too. We'll see what happens. But we received word from our good friend Steven Doziak that John Canizaro is accepting the butt kicker challenge and will be starting from the rear of the field.
Awesome. That is what we want to see. That's what we want to hear. So John Canizaro Jr., that driver right there, is doing the butt kicker challenge. We'll get to feature butt kicker all night long. www.thebuttkicker.com. you haven't checked them out yet, and if you have a sim rig, you're missing out. I don't think there's anything more immersive that you can add to your sim rig than a butt kicker. To add the rumble and the feel of the racetrack underneath your butt. It's absolutely awesome. I've actually even heard that now people are using them from Microsoft Flight Simulator because it adds the extra immersion of retracting the gear and the weight on wheels and the vibrations of the cockpit and of the aircraft. And as you rev up the aircraft, you even get that feel, that vibration. And so butt kicker and thebuttkicker.com, really, really cool to have them on board here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. Stay tuned. Sports Monday Night Thunder, as there goes the number 12 of John Cannizzaro to pull to the bump side of the racetrack. He will be starting at the tail end of the field. But Garrett, why don't we bring up tonight's starting lineup here in Monday Night Thunder. Mason Dixon, ESports 150. John Cannizzaro won the pole, but he'll be starting shotgun on the field. JT Poole will be now on the outside of the front row. Nick Chambrone will be elevated up to the front row. Jason Freeman in fourth. Jamar Dumas will be elevated up to third. Mitchell Adams sixth. Tristan Maher, Bill Edwards back behind them. Philip Scott, Steve Bavacqua, running out your top 10 qualifiers here tonight.
Keep an eye on this next row, Peter. Alonso Chicano is a tremendous super speedway racer, starting 11th. Andrew Himmelman looking for a good run, starting 12th. Starting at 13th, we have Jason Gracias on the outside. On his outside, Colin Ullery, another good super speedway racer. Steven Doziak starting in the top 15. Ben Adams to his outside. We have Casey Miller in 17th. Our good friend Bob Giaquinto. And Peter, I talked to Bob before the race. I said, you guys got to run up front and lead some laps. I want to talk about you guys during the broadcast. We have Jaron Hazen making his first start in 19th. And Cam Caldwell making a rare Truck Series appearance, rounding our top 20.
In 21st here tonight, Casey Brunson with James Orello to his outside. I believe James has a bunch of family in town, so it's great to be able to see at least that number 13 out there starting the race. He's got that Tow Mater-inspired machine from the movie Cars. Nick Bradley, Vincent Valvano will be rounding out your front 12 grids. Back behind them, we got Mike Tellier, Bradley Wilson, Kyle Zimmer, and Brian Bradley. They make up row 14. Of course, Garrett, you're going to finish last again, as always, when you're up here in the booth. You're such a slouch. Gregory Gable, back there, Stephen Kegman, Fernando Matos, Jason Shue, the last driver who did not take time in qualifying. But, of course, John Cannizzaro Jr., who was our pole award winner, will be starting behind that entire field here tonight as he tries to partake in that butt kicker challenge and win the money. As the pace car heads down pit road, we're going green flag this time here at the Talladega Super Speedway, 2.66 miles, Talladega, Alabama, as Nick Chambrone, the 01 machine, leading him down at about 65 miles an hour here through the tri-oval, just waiting to see the green flag come out. There goes the flag, man. We're racing here at Talladega, Garrett.
Yeah, too bad we couldn't crank it up, Peter, because the roar of these trucks at a place like Talladega is certainly a one-of-a-kind sound when you hear all these 30-plus trucks running at you. But we have, looks like JT's pulling out of the way there, and we have Jason Freeman looking to take advantage, lead that outside lane. But so far, so good for Nick Chambrone on the bottom.
Yeah, that number 26 is just going to stay out there on the high line. We're 3 wide, halfway down the backstretch. These drivers here, Garrett, will start to feel out how these cars are racing around one another. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to cause a wreck early on in one of these races, because it can be absolutely catastrophic, not only for you, but for the entire field. As right now, the race sponsor, the Mason Dixon ESports racing machine of Jason Freeman, trying to go for the race lead on lap number 1. He had it for a split second, but here comes Mitchell Adams, the number 49 Adams Racing Scheme, a new look on that number 49 Chevy Silverado. He will flash on by to the lap number 1 as Garrett, the field starting to kind of get 2 by 2. Plenty of time here tonight. A lot of patience will be on hand. Garrett, I don't know if you know what the pit window is like, but I'd expect about 20 to 25 laps, somewhere in that window. So we might actually see 2 green flag pit stops here tonight, if my guesstimations are right, which could kind of raise havoc for a good portion of the field.
Yeah, green flag pit stops here at Talladega, Peter, do create some havoc, because you need to be so precise getting slowed down and not running into someone else. They're usually pretty coordinated if you pit with a couple teammates, but you could make or break this race on pit road. You need to get in the pack you're in and get out in the pack you're in. And if you don't do that, you're going to be in a world of trouble and start losing 4 or 5 seconds a lap sometimes, Peter, to the leaders in the pack. And you're going back talking about this race being 2x2. I mean, these drivers could easily run 3x3 here, as we see. And there's a difference between running 3x3 and being out of control and being in control. Early in the race, you'd like to see them run 3x3, but also be smart out there. No need to push somebody sideways or do anything that's going to jeopardize someone's race. And it looks like that's what we have so far. And look at this run, Peter.
Yeah, we're on board with Mike Floppy Tellier, and he just went from about the 10th position all the way up to 3rd with help from behind with the number 13 of James Arello. That toe mater scheme right there on your screen. Now they start to fall back a little bit as the head of steam that outside line had is dissipating as they lose numbers just like that. How quickly things can ebb and flow here at this super speedway track. So that third groove right now led by Tellier, Lorello, and then back behind him, that's the number 98 of Tristan Maher in this group as well. Right now, the outside line, or the second groove, I should say, is being led by Jaron Hazen in his number 9. And Garrett, he has picked up a whopping 16 positions. Make that 17 position as he pushes Bill Edwards to the race lead. I know we got Bill Edwards fans in the chat up on their feet for this one. Edwards coming through turn number 3 and 4. He will head his way towards the tri-oval. And Edwards trying to lead his first lap here tonight with a little bit of help from behind. That's Jason Gracias and Alonso Chicano, the 1 and the number 95, pushing Bill Edwards to the race lead. And now the number 97 of Tellier in that third group getting that push from Lorello again, finding a little bit of momentum as they're joined by the number 54 back there at fourth truck on the high line. That's Bradley Wilson. Garrett, this racetrack just kind of ebbs and flows, and you just kind of got to go with it. You got to go where the runs are, and sometimes you have to make late decisions. You don't want to make them too late, because that's what leads to accidents. But I'll tell you, now Alonso Chicano, he made a late decision right there in turn number 3 to jump up in front of the number 9 machine. Look at the push he's getting, trying to challenge for the race lead.
This has been a tremendous race, Peter, and you're absolutely right. You have to make these moves. Anticipation is key here, and you don't want to make them too late because that's going to jeopardize you. But these guys are doing a tremendous job, and it is really no surprise to see the guys running up front that are running up front at this point. But like we said earlier, if somebody's running in 30th, like our friend Stephen Kegman, that does not mean he's out of the race at all. He is just racing to save his stuff and be there at the end. And that's the two different strategies you have at Talladega. Either you're going to want to be up front and be ahead of the wreck, or be the last car, pretty much, the last truck in our case, and not get involved. But good to see Bill Edwards was leading there for a while for all his fans. It was nice to see James Lorello mixing up as well. I think he said he was putting us on the big screen so his family could watch. They were all over for Thanksgiving, so thank you. As we're looking at another family driver with his wife in the chat, Ben Adams.
Yeah, Ben Adams running right behind our butt kicker challenge driver, John Cannizzaro. And Adams right now is back in the 21st position. You mentioned it, Garrett, that you either want to be single file at this stage of the race or you want to be up in the front pack, and we have a good string of drivers towards the back. You can see them right here. Jamar Dumas there on the left-hand side of your screen, the 28, now just out of the picture. Ben Adams there running behind the green number 12 of Cannizzaro. These drivers just trying to ride it out. They just want to feel the racetrack. They want to see how things are going out there and don't want to use up their stuff too early if an accident, of course, happens with the front pack. I'll tell you what, oh my goodness, we almost had a big accident there as we flipped over to that shot. And Garrett, the number 9, for a split second, looked like he was going to be turned down into the inside wall, but they get everything all sorted out. Now Alonso Chicano with a little bit of help from the Marshmallow Peeps, number 36 of Steve Bavacqua, trying to go to the race lead.
It's hard to miss that 36 of Bavacqua out there, and he did a really good job pushing Alonso Chicano to the lead. Hazen had a little bit of trouble there in the bottom lane, but good job getting it corrected and keeping this truck pointed forward. That could have been a big one, Peter.
Definitely could have been a big one. This front pack of trucks, about 11 trucks kind of dicing 2x2x2. Now we got a little bit of 3-wide action as Philip Scott in the number 99 is going to jump up to the high line. Bradley Wilson going to follow him in the number 54. The 05 right there in the middle of them is Casey Miller. And Garrett, you've been out there very recently. You've been running, of course, the Total Nonstop Racing Super Speedway Series on Sunday nights. You were in action last night. What does it feel to be the driver in the middle of 3 wide here in these Super Speedway races?
Well, Peter, it's a little nerve-wracking for me. I'm sure there's guys with much more, as they used to say in the wrestling world, intestinal fortitude than I have. But it does get a little unsettling when you're in the middle, especially with these trucks bouncing around you on the inside and the outside. And if you feel like you're moving back here in this middle lane, it's really the worst feeling because you feel like someone's just going to run into you. You're not sure from where, but you feel like someone's going to run into you. But you can make a good run for this middle because people at times don't expect it. So I look for guys to use that lane to their advantage when the momentum warrants it.
And we just rode on board with Philip Scott as he got pushed all the way up into the second position. Now starting to lose a little bit of that momentum on the high line. Looking out back, he does have Bradley Wilson back behind him. Remember, those two drivers kind of teamed up all together alone on that high line. They found a little bit of momentum up there working together. And this is one thing that everyone back at home has to realize. They have to learn about the draft. The draft here with these trucks is immense. And when I say the draft, the slipstream, whatever you want to call it, it's a pocket of air behind these trucks that's punched by the front car. Just think of the air acting like a gel and you run your finger through that gel. All of a sudden you're going to leave this little trail behind. Well, that's what happens when these vehicles interact with the air around them. So they punch this hole of air where there's low pressure. There's not a lot of air molecules on the front of the car, and it actually allows them to have less friction and go faster. There's actual less force acting on the front of the trucks when they're in that slipstream. It allows them to go faster, suck up to another one. But the other thing is because they're not going supersonic, they are going in the realm of incompressible flow, they are actually able to interact with the car in front of them. The air upstream actually gets to see the car behind, if you will. And so, whoa, we're 4 wide, Chambro. No, we got cars in the wall, trucks in the wall, rather, as Philip Scott just got pushed 4 wide, and that, we're going to stay green, but that is the first big incident here of the night. No caution flag for that one, though, G.
Peter, that was a bit upsetting to just see that happen. These guys are putting on a tremendous race, and Philip Scott was leading that group, and then all of a sudden the momentum was not on his side. Trucks were going around him. 4 wide puts him in the middle outside groove there, and just gonna run out of racetrack. Chamberlain looking to make a move there on the 62 with the momentum he had, and that's just unfortunate. I mean, it looks pretty bad, Peter. I don't know the extent of the damage. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Hopefully he can get it fixed and limp around until then.
Yeah, we are back to live scenes here, and Philip Scott has plummeted through the field. That number 99 is all the way back now to the 26th position, and he is losing a ton of time on the lead pack. There is Alonso Chicano, however. He is your race leader heading off towards turn number 3. You can see the field has actually broken up just a little bit, in fact, a lot of bit here, Garrett, from that front pack back to some of the runners a little bit further behind, I think led by the number 1 of Jason Gracias. There he is. He's got the number 28 machine back behind him. Of course, that is Jamar Dumas. Looks like Ben Adams is back there. John Cannizzaro. Andrew Himmelman's back there. Jason Freeman is in this group of drivers as well. Tristan Maher and Brian Bradley. And then you have to go further back as Stephen Doziak Jr. is kind of all by his lonesome. Then Vincent Valvano and Bob Giaquinto, a couple of the longtime Total Nonstop Racing League veterans dating back to the mid-2000s, like myself and you, Garrett. We've had these drivers here for quite some time, as we are hearing that, there we go, that's the right camera. Philip Scott is on pit road, as is Bradley Wilson and Jason Shue. All of those drivers coming down pit road to fix their damage accrued in that snafu on the backstretch that we saw just a little while ago. They will go 1 lap down. As up at the front of the field, Casey Brunson in the number 10 truck is your new race leader. Alonso Chicano with him. The number 9 of Jaron Hazen, Steve Bavacqua, Casey Miller, Colin Ullery, your top 6 as they run. And, getting a little bit close again coming out of turn number 2G.
Yeah, Peter, we almost had another oops right there. I don't know what your call would have been on that, because it would have been incredible, I'm sure. But Brunson using that bottom lane, taking the lead. Alonso Chicano's truck the handling seems to have gone away. Don't know if he has a little damage from anything out there. And so, Peter, some of those guys that pit, I didn't even see them involved in the incident. I just want to go back to that. Like Jason Shue, wasn't he well behind the pack? It's kind of crazy to see him with damage after that incident with Philip Scott.
Yeah, something must have happened to Jason Shue, and I'm not exactly sure. We can go back and see if we can pick up what happened to Jason, but there's nothing that immediately jumps out to me. So maybe he was just kind of insult to injury back there, kind of collateral damage, if you will, as we rode on board with the number 1 of Jason Gracias, who I'm really impressed, Garrett, was able to work together with that group of trucks that were all single file, and they were able to run down this front pack. So the number 1 of Jason Gracias now sliding behind the number 26 of JT Poole. He's back up there. He's back up in the mix inside the top 10 as we are now working lap number 15 here tonight. If you're just now joining us on 3Y TV for the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast, Monday Night Thunder is, the number 10 of Casey Brunson going down below the yellow line down there. I think he kind of got turned down there. Great job to save it in his Toyota Tundra. But a little bit further back, there's the 3-car pack that we were talking about before between Doziak, Vincent Valvano, and the 23, of Bob Giaquinto. They're going to have to kind of stay together. They're not running down the front pack, unlike that other big group that was able to run down that front pack. But right now, the 1 of Gracias and Casey Miller, as we get this conveyor belt, the super speedway conveyor belt that we call Talladega Super Speedway, continues to cycle on through race leaders.
Casey Miller, another guy, has some good runs here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, but seeing him out front is definitely something I could get used to. It's nice. His truck looks great. And Jason Gracias, we were talking about him before. He said he's surprised to see him get pack organized and get up to his front pack. But Jason Gracias is one of those guys, Peter, that when he talks, everyone listens because they know he knows how to get to the front, and he always has a game plan. And guys notice that. They respect that. No matter what league we're racing in, TNR, NSRA, people follow Jason Gracias, especially at these plate races.
We're going back onto the 3Y TV replay, and some late lunges onto pit road, and Vincent Valvano maybe a little bit too late for him, as both the 38 and the 55 both looked fast getting onto pit road. So this might be the first round of green flag pit stops, but that should be a pit road speeding penalty for at least the number 38. A couple of other drivers came down pit road as well. We will highlight them in just a moment, as now the field flashing on by the 26 machine of JT Poole. Not sure if he tried to come down pit road, but we have had takers here. Mike Tellier, James Lorello, Bill Edwards. There is Tellier, Lorello, and Edwards right there on your screen. Cam Caldwell making his Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Monday Night Thunder debut here tonight. But we're waiting on our leaders. These drivers right here to come down pit road. Just to update you on a couple of the other trucks, like Vincent Valvano did get a pit road violation. I'm just curious to know if Doziak did. No, it does not look like Doziak did, so he was able to get down to pit road speed, luckily enough for him. But here comes several of your leaders. It looks like the 95 coming down pit road right there at the back of the screen. But a majority of the field staying out. Looks like just, did the 95 go through the grass as well? I'll have to go back and catch that one on the replay, but looks like Chicano and Gracias coming down together.
Not surprised to see those guys working together. They always seem to team up at these super speedway events, and a lot of trust there. And hopefully Alonso didn't go through the grass here and hurt him and Jason from working together. But just looks like he locked them up a little bit, Peter. Hopefully he wasn't speeding.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on whether or not Alonso Chicano was caught speeding. And Garrett, I don't have good news. Alonso Chicano speeding on pit road. He's in his pit box right now. So we talk about pit road being so important here at Talladega under green flag pit stop conditions because of the fact that it's kind of the money stop. If you lock up your brakes, if you speed, you could throw away your entire race in about 5 seconds. I mean, that's about how long it takes to get these trucks woed up down to pit road speed. And if you don't do it right, your entire race can be shot. So pit road is extremely important. And I'm just surprised to see so many different pit strategies. I expected to see all these trucks kind of come down as a big group, but we had a couple of early takers. We got a couple come down in a 2-truck pack. I'm a bit surprised by that. Usually you want to come down pit road in number with a bunch of other trucks because of the draft. You don't want to, A, lose the draft, but the bigger the draft is, it requires more trucks for a bigger draft. So you can see this train of trucks right now coming around the racetrack. They're going to be really, really quick because there's a majority of them or a big number of them. And now it looks like some of our other leaders are electing to come down pit road, like Casey Miller. And, Casey Miller might have just gone off into the grass there just a little bit. Looks like the Sinorama machine there, Kyle Zimmer, has had an incident. Not sure where that was here, but you can see some front-end damage on the Sinorama of Hollandale, number 51 machine, and Garrett Kyle Zimmer last week making his debut. Stellar run. Stellar, absolutely awesome run at Darlington last week. It was a sight to behold, and great to have Kyle here in the Total Nonstop Racing League.
Great to have Kyle, and that was a tremendous run last week. I'm still smiling about that, Peter. With Sinorama on board, Fernando wasn't able to race last week, and Kyle gave the Sinorama sponsored ride a heck of a run as we see our leaders coming to pit road.
Yep, they're all trying to get down to that pit road speed limit. I'll tell you what, Colin Ullery looked a little bit fast there, at least to the naked eye. We'll see whether or not he did get down to pit road speed. Now the big group comes to their pit box right here on lap number 22. So I said 20 to 25 laps. These drivers kind of right there in the sweet zone. Meanwhile, Jason Freeman is out there on the racetrack as your race leader with Casey Brunson in tow. They're the only 2 trucks yet to make a pit stop. They do have the number 55 of Steven Doziak Jr. right there behind him. The problem for Doze is that once he loses these 2, he's going to be all by his lonesome out there on the racetrack. He's trying to catch up to Fernando Matos in front of him in the other Sinorama machine because Matos, that would at least be someone that he can draft with, although I think he'll go right on by Matos. It looks like Matos might have a little bit of front-end damage. But your 2 final drivers to come down pit road to make their first pit stop here tonight, right here on your screen, Jason Freeman, the Mason-Dixon ESports Racing Machine, and Casey Brunson, as now they'll have to figure out where is the pack in relation to where they are, where will they come out, because this is the group of drivers who are the highest place that have already made a pit stop. James Arello will presumably take the race lead here. We will see, yep, just like that, flashes on by Jason Freeman. And James Arello is your race leader here on lap number 23.
Peter, I am absolutely shocked that Jason Freeman pitted in a 2-car group. He is known to work with his good friend and teammate Jason Gracias, and it just seems like they were not on the same page for that pit stop. It's very curious, Peter. Like you said, odds are you want to come in a decent-sized pack. You don't want to come with 20 trucks necessarily to pit road, but coming with 2, I don't necessarily think that's a winning strategy, especially if we stay green here.
So right now you're looking at your 6 leaders: Lorello, Edwards, Tellier, Caldwell, Maher, and Gracias. Alonso Chicano is at the back of this 6-truck train. Remember, he was up at the front of the field earlier on, but his pit road speeding penalty has now put him 1 lap down as we are closing in on the halfway mark. Just 5 laps now from the cross flag signal here at the Talladega Superspeedway. But this is your front group, 6 trucks. Let's look just a little bit further back, because in the 7th spot, we got Colin Ullery, who did not get a pit road speeding penalty. He's got JT Poole behind him and Mitchell Adams, but then a big gaggle of trucks trying to run them down. Kind of spearheaded by the 01 of Nick Chambrone, Vincent Valvano in his number 38 machine. I believe Valvano is 1 lap down as they run in the 25th position. So he is in this group, however, but Steve Bavak was in this pack, the number 9 machine, who's been strong in his Total Nonstop Racing League debut. Jaron Hazen, Casey Miller in there, Ben Adams, Canizaro Jr., Himmelman is the back of this pack. Jason Freeman trying to do all he can to try and run down that front pack. He might just be a little bit too far back, though, here. Garrett, not 100% sure, and bad news is there's no one out back that he can work with, so if he cannot hold on to this little group in front of him, it could be a long race for Jason Freeman. But we have been green flagged for the opening 25 laps here as your leaders work their way around Kyle Zimmer to put him 1 lap down.
Yeah, tough break for Zimmer. We see the damage on the back of his machine there. Hopefully, if he gets a yellow, he gets some of that fixed. But Jason Freeman, you're the race sponsor. You think these guys would cut you a break and maybe ease off that pack and let you catch back up. I mean, throw some of that sponsorship money at these guys, Freeman, and maybe they'll help you out. And Peter, just to go back to something that was a bad situation that could potentially be a good situation here tonight, Colin Ullery was leading that second group, and as some people may know, Colin had a bit of an issue in our GNS series, in our Texas race, and he served his punishment. And it's great to see him back here, and what a redemption story that would be if he comes back in this Truck Series race and ends up pulling this thing off.
Yeah, Ullery is in that second group of drivers right now, and you can see that gap last time by actually expanded between Lorello leading this 6-truck train versus Ullery's big train of trucks now. So they're hoping that that pendulum swings in the favor of Ullery's group. We'll go back and check on Ullery right there. In front of Mitchell Adams, JT Poole, Vincent Valvano up there, the number 9, the 01. These trucks going to do all they can to try and run down the race leaders before they have to come back down to pit lane. And you can see there, Garrett, that's what it looks like. That's the gap to that big train of trucks that is your front 6 right now.
Yeah, Peter, the wait-and-see strategy that we're used to seeing here at Talladega, sometimes it works out. And then there's other times like this where you go green for 26 laps, 27 laps coming to complete, that it doesn't work out, and you could get yourself in real trouble here. If this race stays green, these guys who are 20 seconds back, even guys that are 5 seconds back, are going to have a heck of a time making that up under green without some sort of pit strategy or other guys making mistakes and breaking up that front pack. So I like to play that conservative strategy, as you know, but this is certainly the type of race pace that could bite you when it is all said and done.
Yeah, that is for sure. We're right on board here with Nick Chambrone, running right behind the number 9 of Jaron Hazen. They're going 185 miles an hour. That is quick for these trucks, Garrett. I mean, that is, usually you don't see these trucks a lot faster than 180, but they are doing all they can, being as effective and as efficient as they can. Meanwhile, this is what the front pack looks like on board with Mike Floppy Tellier, who is running in a Silent Syndicate Racing number 97. A bit of a surprise to see that, but he has S2R on the hood. We'll see him right here as he flashes on by the start-finish line. There it is, that number 97, 185 miles an hour, going off towards turn number 1. But Tellier, who started this race all the way back in 25th, has picked up 22 positions since the drop of the green flag, and is, as of right now, the biggest mover of the race. James Orello, who is your race leader, has picked up 21 spots from where he qualified, so he's also worked his way up to the front. And Garrett, that just shows that qualifying here, not super duper important. But speaking of qualifying, why don't we check in on the driver who's participating in the Butt Kicker Challenge here tonight, that being the number 12 machine of John Canizaro Jr. here. And Garrett, he's in that second group of trucks, being scored in the 15th position as they run.
Well, Canizaro has run a pretty safe race, I think, so far, Peter. He hasn't really done anything that jeopardized his chance of winning this race, but unfortunately, like you said, he's in the second pack, and they have a ways to make up. But they look organized right now, and if they keep this way, perhaps on the next round of pit stops, they could put a dent in, is what I was trying to say, Peter. It's been a long day, but I was trying to say put a dent in the lead that those other trucks have.
Yeah, that is for sure. But things relatively quiet here tonight so far. We've had, whoop, that's the wrong camera. Sorry about that, folks. That was looking at the wall somewhere. But it's been relatively quiet because we have had one incident. Philip Scott was involved in that one. Bradley Wilson also involved in it. In his number 54, we believe Jason Shu might have been collateral damage, and we also think that maybe Fernando Matos and Kyle Zimmer may have also been collateral damage in that incident. We did not see what happened to either of those two teammates, but they both have front-end damage on their trucks, unfortunately. But here is the number 5 of Ben Adams. He's got some front-end damage on his Chevy Silverado as well, but still holding along with this train fairly well. Meanwhile, you're not missing anything up at the front of the field. Let's see if we can check that difference between Lorello and Ullery. And looks like, at least by the numbers, Garrett, it might be just the fact that that second pack is just barely closing in on the front group over the last 5 laps. Not a significant amount, but just enough to maybe start to sniff that draft.
Well, Peter, that's all they could hope for, really. I mean, if they could at least get, like you said, a sniff of that draft. You said how important it is, the air here, and how the draft works, the pack work, and it was actually such an intelligent discussion. I had to zone out through it because my head was starting to hurt. But if they could just get close enough to catch it, they'll, in theory, blow by this group because they'll have so much momentum.
Yeah, that is true. If they can get that draft, and you can see they are closing in. You can almost visibly see that they're closing in on the back of that pack. Like you said, they will get that draft. They will continue to use that draft to get all the way back up. It's been a spirited effort for sure by this group of drivers to work their way up into towards that front. I mean, you can definitely see here. We'll see what the difference is this time between Lorello and Ullery, and I believe it's going to be pretty staggering. A full second faster between Lorello and Ullery that last lap. Garrett, they have the draft. They are coming to all be one big train once again here at Talladega, Alabama.
Here, I'm going to try not to go on a tangent here because I don't want to miss this when they catch this first pack, just the difference in speeds and how they use this momentum. It's going to be something incredible from a broadcast perspective. Hey, look at the truck just appeared out of nowhere, Peter, on my screen. That's how fancy you are switching these camera angles. But you can see the second truck in line staying close to that 62. He's not bumping in the corner because that's kind of frowned upon, but he should give him a good shot here coming to the tri-oval and they'll keep their charge moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm sure this is going to be another full second, if not more. Let's see this time the difference between first and seventh. 1.2 seconds. That doesn't sound like a whole lot. I mean, that's a blink of an eye almost, but on a racetrack, that is huge, especially these super speedway tracks. And now we got one big pack again. How about that? They were seconds apart, and now they're all together before what could be the final round of pit stops. And Garrett, speaking of the final round of pit stops, we believe that the pit road window will open here in the next lap or so for these drivers to make it to the end of the race on fuel. What do you think? What would you do? Would you pit early? Would you go long? You know, if you got buddies out there in this group that you can pit with, you have quite a few options. What option do you think you would take?
Well, Peter, there's always that opportunity for a green-white checker, so I keep that in the back of my mind, but I pretty much want to pit as soon as I know I'm good on fuel at this. Get the jump on it, make your stop, make sure it's clean, and get back out there with your friends. And you see the S2R trucks, and Mike Tellier is now one of them, I believe, at least for this series, because he's trophy hunting, trying to win some races. I look for those guys to all put together as a team and pull that strategy off, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see here momentarily when these leaders come down onto pit lane, because I think once a few come down, it is going to be a very, very busy pit lane. And Garrett, we talked about it earlier. We've already seen it. A couple of drivers like Alonso Chicano, who's up there in this front pack. pit road speeding violations under their first green flag victory. Chicano was one of those drivers. Vincent Valvano was one of those drivers. You're not sure if Kyle Zimmer, if he was one of those drivers who got nabbed for speeding on pit road, or whether he just had to repair damage in his pit box. But those drivers having very long pit stops because iRacing assigns them a 40-second stop and hold penalty for speeding. And 40 seconds here on this entire racetrack, it's not a full lap, but it is about 90% of a lap. So you do not want to lose 40 seconds sitting stationary, as looks like we got some takers coming down pit road. Here comes the 13 of Lorello. These drivers going to have to get on the brakes down to pit lane speed. You don't want to speed right there. And we will find out if any of these drivers got a pit road speeding penalty, but it looked like a fairly good, smooth pit road entry, Garrett, to no one making any type of contact, everyone giving each other plenty of room out there. Let's hope that's the case, and these drivers can get back out there and up to speed in a hurry.
Yeah, Peter, absolutely. I want to see them get back in that big pack. And for guys that are running at the back, you want this big pack to stay intact because that's your best chance of getting a yellow. When these guys are strung out, the odds of a yellow are minimal, even in best case scenario. Oh, James Lorello, the second best racer in his family behind his daughter, and it certainly shows there picking up the pit road speeding penalty.
Yeah, getting that pit, and we were just mentioning it. You don't want to do that. That's the one thing you do not want to do. And look at this. This lead pack is coming around right now to lap James Lorello. He's still in his pit box. Nothing he can do. Wow. From first to being a lap down in a hurry. That is absolute heartbreak for James Lorello. His night is going to need a few caution flags to get back up onto the lead lap, and those are things that we have not seen here tonight. Colin Ullery, however, is still out there, is your race leader. Mitchell Adams is in second, JT Poole in third. These drivers will now be going through their mind. Let's not speed on pit road. It's already happened to some really good race truck drivers here tonight, as now the 49 and the 62 getting a little bit of separation from this pack. Ben Adams getting a big push from John Canizaro, our pole award winner, as well as butt kicker challenge participant in his Stay Tuned Sports number 12 machine. He's now mixing it up here at the front of the field. He's up inside the top 5, I believe, for the first time tonight.
Peter, I think it's officially go time out there. These guys know that they don't want to take the chance of losing the big pack again, losing the lead draft, and they're going for everything they have here, trying to make the best lap times possible. You'll see guys pushing more aggressively, and I don't expect John Canizaro to settle for second place here, Peter, especially with that butt kicker challenge on the line. Yeah, he could finish in the top 3 and still get it, but John Canizaro wants to win this race, that's for sure.
Canizaro wants to win the race. He wants to finish inside the top 3 to get that extra money, courtesy of our friends over at thebuttkicker.com. There he is, running in 4th spot right now behind a couple of his good buddies. Ullery in the number 62 is up at the front of the field, and now looks like Ullery's coming down. Looks like the 5 of Ben Adams, Mitchell Adams coming down pit road, Jamar Dumas coming down pit road, bunch of these trucks, JT Poole on pit road, Stephen Kegman, Andrew Himmelman Jr., Bob Giaquinto, Vincent Valvano, Stephen Doziak Jr., Kyle Zimmer, all of these trucks coming down together, and I think that's really going to help them here. Garrett is almost contact between the 5 and the 26 on pit road. The 8 of Andrew Himmelman went into his pit box, or into the pit boxes really early. That's a bit of a surprise to see Andrew Himmelman go into the boxes that early. Had to go through a couple of those pit stalls before finding his pit stall, as now these drivers rolling back out there onto the racetrack. That's it, just probably 2 tires and fill it up with enough fuel to see out the rest of the race, and they will get back up to speed. We'll check on whether or not there are any more pit road speeding penalties. But look at this pack. Garrett, that pack is already up to speed, and they just whipped on by them. That is Brian Bradley, who leads this group, but Brian Bradley has yet to come down, make his second pit stop. Casey Brunson yet to make his second pit stop. Jason Freeman yet to make his second pit stops. They're currently 1, 2, and 3. Then you have James Arello, who is currently 1 lap down in his number 13 truck. He will temporarily unlap himself, but then this is the first group of trucks who have made their final pit stop. It is led by the number 50 of Bill Edwards. I know we got Bill Edwards fans in the chat here. Edwards leading, Kristen Maher, Mike Floppy Tellier, Cam Caldwell, Nick Chambrone, Casey Miller, Alonso Chicano, and Jason Gracias. So a 7-truck train up at the front of the field right now.
This is a stacked 7-truck train, Peter. These are some incredible race truck drivers. And that guy at the back of the pack there sneaking around, Jason Gracias, keep an eye on him, and it's go time. He's proven that he can make that second lane work, and he has a lot of friends out there that are willing to work with him.
Meanwhile, your front pack, I think your front pack's going to grow to 11 trucks here very, very quickly, because looks like this group has got the draft off of the front 7, and sure enough, we have an 11-truck train at the front of the field. Meanwhile, not good news for our butt kicker challenge participant, John Canizaro Jr., as he is going to lose the draft of that front train. There he is. He's got Jamar Dumas back behind him. Ben Adams in the number 5 is a few trucks back. He's back there with Stephen Keckman, Vincent Valvano, Stephen Doziak Jr., Kyle Zimmer, and the number 9 machine of Jaron Hazen. But they're going to probably close up to Canizaro and Dumas and do all they can to close up to the front pack, which is still led by the number 50 of Bill Edwards, Tristan Maher, and Mike Floppy Tellier. We're down to 15 laps to go. If you're just now joining us, we've been green flags since the drop of the green flag at the beginning of the night, and looks like the number 13 here of James Orello, he will now be 1 lap down from the lead of the race just a little while ago. He's going to need a lucky dog award, a caution flag to come out, and that lucky dog to put him back onto the lead lap. But the bad news is he's racing the number 95 machine of Alonso Chicano, who's right there for that lucky dog position. So it's not going to be easy, because Lorello's going to have to slot in line with this race lead pack and then race his way in front of Alonso Chicano if he wants to have an opportunity to race for the race win at the end of the night. And he's going to need a caution flag to be able to do so.
There's a lot of drivers out there that need a caution flag at this point, Peter. And if you're one of those trucks that have lost this lead pack, you're just hoping to keep clean and hope these guys wad it up in front of you. I know it's kind of a jerk move to hope for a wreck to better yourself, but sometimes that's what it takes. And yeah, you can't knock it if it ends up benefiting. Yeah, I mean, that's racing for you. But these guys are mixing it up, but they're doing a good job so far staying off each other. As we look at Nick Chambrone leading that second lane, let's see if they can make their way towards the front.
Yeah, racing is racing. Doesn't matter how you get to the front. All you have to do is finish the last lap in the first position. That's all you have to do to win the race. And how many times have we seen that? A big wreck on the final lap, and one driver kind of worked their way through the smoke to win the race. We saw that Stephen Kegman here in the Total Nonstop Racing League probably 9, 10, 11, a year ago. I don't know, a long time ago. It feels like now, but that could very well happen here tonight, as the lap counter at the top of the screen will say 12 laps to go this time across the start-finish line, as now we're starting to see Nick Chambrone with help from Mitchell Adams and Colin Hillary on that high line start to look for the race lead 2 by 2 here as they go across the start-finish line and head towards turn number 1.
You start to see some strange bedfellows at this point in the race, Peter. We have a Dizzy Motorsports machine getting pushed by a SimShots driver with another SimShots driver behind him. We have S2R on the bottom with Tristan Maher mixed in. I'm not really sure what team he's racing for at this point, but he's got Bagcraft on the hood, new paint scheme for Tony Lucarelli's company. And you never know who might be the one to push it to the win, Peter. That's why you can't count anyone out until the checker flag flies.
That is very true. And of course, 3 Wide TV. Great to have all of you joining us in the chat here this week for the Mason-Dixon ESports 150. If you want to check out Mason-Dixon ESports, there's a link to their Facebook page in the description. We really want to thank Mason-Dixon ESports for sponsoring this race here tonight, as Bill Edwards and the Backcraft number 98 leading that inside group. Nick Chambrone, Colin Hillary on the high line. Casey Miller back behind those two on the top in the blue and white 05. Mitchell Adams back there. Looks like the number 1, Jason Gracias. Oh, contact! And this should bring out the first caution flag of the night. Maher in the inside wall, and sure enough it does. Caution flag waves here, and it was right up at the front of the field here, G.
Well, not surprised where it happened, Peter. It's disappointing. All these drivers drove a tremendous race, green flag up until now, and like we said, it's go time, and all it's going to take is a little bit of aggressive driving, and who knows, a little contact there, and unfortunately for another week, another Dizzy Motorsports truck getting taken out of contention here for the race win. Wow, Tristan didn't have a good time in that yellow either. Peter ends up making his way down towards the infield wall, and Alonso Chicano collecting him as he was trying to get wood down to the wreck.
Yeah, I do apologize. The train outside is rather loud. Don't exactly want to have you hear it, but as the 01, we saw that contact as Tristan Maher, like you said there, Garrett, gets turned into a spinning top on the inside. And Alonso Chicano also picking up a piece of that, so that might give the Lucky Dog Award to the number 13 of James Zarella, who was so fast early on. But let's see if there was a little bit of contact. Let's see if we can look out back here, because I think there was a little bit of contact. Let's throw it into 3-wide TV slow motion. And the 01 machine goes up the racetrack. There's a little bit of a bumper grab by the 62. Turns the 01 down into the number 98 of Tristan Maher. And then watch this, the hands of Nick Chambrone. I mean, this driver here is a wheelman, absolute wheelman. He got hit again. He's still having to save this truck, and we're in 3-wide TV slow-mo. It looks absolutely ridiculous what he just did from onboard. We'll get another look at that. We're going to have to, because Nick Chambrone, this driver knows how to wheel a race truck, and most people would have junked that truck up, but, I mean, yeah, he got some damage. Yes, he got down into Bill Edwards, who got a piece of damage, but just admire that wheel work there by Nick Chambrone.
These Dizzy boys, well, we're down to only a couple left, but these Dizzy boys know how to wheel it, Peter, and they race some dirt, they race some asphalt, and they're consistently fast everywhere, and you just see the talent right there. Nick Chambrone, a lesser man, definitely would have wadded up more trucks, ended up spinning himself, probably hitting that inside wall, and he ended up saving it. And if he could get this damage fixed, at least to the point where he could roll around up there and stay on the lead lap, who knows? They could wad it up again, and he could end up winning this thing. You never know, Peter.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks that the damage is bad enough to warrant him coming down pit road. He's going to stay out here. Bill Edwards is also going to stay out. He got some right side damage in the number 50. So the 50 and the 01 both getting a piece of that incident, both going to stay out there. Just checking on who the Lucky Dog Award did go to, and it looks like it did indeed go to the number 13 of James Zarella. So Alonso Chicano, who was ahead of the number 13 of Lorello, but got involved in that accident, gives this Lucky Dog to the number 13. So Lorello's going to have another opportunity. Remember, Garrett, we were talking about the fact that he had to race his way into that Lucky Dog spot and get a caution flag. Well, he got the caution flag, and now he's going to have a shot at racing up through the field to try and win this thing.
A good break for James Lorello, and a great break for Team S2R as they get another one of their trucks back on the lead lap, and will be able to help them try to secure this victory. Peter, just looking at our ticker here real quick, I'm trying to see how many trucks we're now up to on the lead lap. And I think Jason Freeman was able to stay on the lead lap, it looks like, and so he'll also have a chance after needing to hang on to the pack. And our friends Steven Doziak and Alvano are now being scored as the first trucks a lap down. And our other friend / enemy, Stephen Kegman, Bob Giaquinto, some guys with some rough breaks out there. And unfortunately, there's not going to be a wave around, but if there's multiple cautions, maybe we could see some of them in contention by the end of the night as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we will see here, Garrett. Just bear with me a moment. If you can just vamp for a brief moment, and we'll be going back here green shortly.
Yeah, Peter, I'll handle this. If anybody wants to talk about their feelings, now's the time. Say something in the chat. Maybe I can give you some advice. I mean, my life's a mess, but I'd gladly help you guys out. Kill some time here for Peter as we're looking at these guys doubling up. We have Bill Edwards taking the inside lane. He does have choice as the leader. And Chambrone with that damage going to be on his outside. We'll see if that hurts that outside lane here. And S2R is lined up on the bottom. So if Floppy is committed to Bill Edwards, which I assume he is, they've been working together on super speedway races, they might have what it takes to pull this off.
Yeah, we will see whether or not the Silent Syndicate Racing teammates now of Tellier and Edwards can pull off this win here tonight. We also got Alonso Chicano there, third truck on the inside line, coming back to the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Monday Night Thunder, and going to be interesting to see what Alonso Chicano, or excuse me, not Alonso Chicano, but the 21 of Cam Caldwell. I think I said Alonso Chicano, but Cam Caldwell in that number 21 can do. Of course, Alonso Chicano was involved in that accident and will stay one lap down in the 23rd position here. But Garrett, 7 laps to go when we go back. Green pace car lights have turned off, and I think what we just saw, if that's any indication of what we're going to see once we go back green, it could get really wild out there.
Yeah, Peter, I'm expecting the big one to happen in these next 8 laps, and I hope I'm wrong. And as I always say when we predict these things, you hope you're wrong. You hope they race 3-4 wide for the win here, and everyone brings it home in one piece. But that's not really realistic when it comes to how short this season is and how important it is to win these races.
That is for sure. The field working their way through turn number 3 and 4, and we'll be going green this time. Folks, in the 3-Wide TV chat, we want to thank you for joining us here tonight. Stay Tuned Sports asking if you're a closet Cowboy fan, G. And you say your mom is, so yeah, I'm friends with your mom. We got Tana Himmelman saying, let's go Sim Shots Racing. The Windsor saying, let's go Bill. It's time to crank it up and figure out who's going to win here tonight. They're already going. The inside line already a 3-truck breakaway. Bill Edwards and Mike Floppy Tellier and the number 21 right there in third. That is Cam Caldwell. Nick Chambrone with his damage is going to drop down to that inside line, but did those front 3 get too good of a restart here, Garrett? Because now all these trucks behind him are going to be able to get the draft and suck up to them.
Yeah, I think they definitely got too good of a start. These guys are going to have a heck of a lot of momentum coming. And look at Chambrone with that damaged truck saying, I'm going to lead this outside lane. You figured he'd want to get the truck in front of him, the truck behind him, and see what happened. But apparently he doesn't think the damage is going to affect him with his mad driving skills. So I don't blame him out there for taking a shot and trying to win this thing. And he's definitely showing he's still got the truck capable of doing so.
Well, remember, Bill Edwards has a little bit of damage as well in the number 50. So we kind of got damaged truck versus damaged truck here with 7, make that 6 laps to go as they come across the start-finish line this time. We're starting to see maybe a third line develop up there at the front as the number 9 of Jaron Hazen doing all he can to try and push the 01 of Chambrone up to the front, but there's nothing the number 9 can do. And here comes the number 49, Mitchell Adams. He's going to jump up to the high line. He's thinking about going 3 wide as, Bill Edwards, they become detached on the inside line. Bill Edwards has to come up the racetrack, and now Chambrone going to drop to the inside of the racetrack. That leaves Hazen there in the middle all by himself, but here comes the number 1 of Jason Gracias. He's going to jump to the middle back behind Hazen, and now here comes the number 21 of Cam Caldwell. He's going to jump into that middle line. We're 3 wide for the race lead, coming to 5 to go.
Peter, take a breath, bud. That was incredible, your call there, and that's how these guys are feeling out there. They're probably holding their breath. This racing is incredible. These guys are making moves just anywhere they can see it out there. I'm keeping an eye on this middle lane. We talked about it being essentially the sucker hole, but these guys are using it to their advantage, clearing trucks and diving down. As it looks like our bottom group, Hazen, in his debut, is getting left pretty much hung out to dry there by Jason Gracias, who, hey, there he is, Peter. He's leading a super speedway race. Go figure.
How about that? Jason Gracias finding his way up to the front. Mitchell Adams in the number 49 also finding his way up to the front of the field here late. And here comes Jason Freeman, tonight's race sponsor, Mason-Dixon ESports. He's got that number 20 up there near the front of the field. We're starting to get really close here, Garrett. If they don't wad up these trucks, I'm going to be absolutely shocked. As Jason Gracias in the number 1, he thought about jumping up to the middle groove, but that spot was filled very quickly by a hard-charging Cam Caldwell, who's been pushed to the race lead by the 05 Casey Miller. And look at Mike Floppy Tellier in the 97. He's now pushed his way up towards the front of the pack. Now Caldwell's going to drop down in front of Mitchell Adams. That's going to give Casey Miller in the 05 free reign of the middle groove. And then you still have the pole award winner and participant of the Butt Kicker Challenge, the number 12 of John Canizaro Jr. on the high line, trying to push his way up to the front with a big push from the number 26 of JT Poole.
John Canizaro, where the heck did he come from, Peter? I didn't even see him in this shot a couple laps ago. I was watching these other guys battle for the lead, and here he is in that middle groove with he had plenty of help from JT Poole on the outside lane, and we'll see how he does in the middle. But just going back to when Jason Gracias, they made that, him and Freeman made a coordinated move to pass the truck there, and those guys are working tremendously together, and something I'm keeping an eye on here if they can get to the lead.
Mitchell Adams going to come across the start-finish line, lead the race. 3 more laps to go. Lorello, who used that lucky dog to get back on the lead lap. He's the second truck on the high line, trying to push JT Poole, give him a whole bunch of momentum. We got the 26 alongside the number 49, but Cam Caldwell is all free out front, but now here comes those higher lines with the momentum they get coming off the corner to draw level with your race leader in the number 21 machine. It's the shorter way around the racetrack is right there on the yellow line. However, you have to turn the wheel. You have to scrub more speed down there. So you'll see the bottom line will pull ahead in the quarters, and the upper lines will then usually come back on the straightaways because they carry a little bit more momentum, and we will be really close at the start-finish line this time. 2 more laps to go. And Garrett, if you're someone like Casey Miller in the 05 machine, you don't have a whole lot of space to go, but now you might be clear on the high line. What do you think? Do you want to try and go up to that high line, or do you just want to hold your position at this point as the 97 of Tellier now makes a bold move? He's going to jump up to that high line.
Yeah, Peter, I would wait for somebody to make that move for me, get a couple trucks behind him, and then I'm going for it. You have to take your shot here and go for the lead. But how could you not love this racing? I mean, we've taken some lumps with this series. Ben Adams doing a tremendous job. Jimbo, Stay Tuned Sports being on board. Look at this racing. How can you beat this, Peter, for free on a Monday night? It's better than the NFL game, and I'm a Giants fan. Coming to 1 to go.
Coming to 1 to go. We're 3 wide. They're thinking about making it 4 wide with the way they're racing. It's going to be white flag. Contact. Jason Freeman up into the fence, and that is going to bring out the caution flag. We will go to overtime here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. For the first time here tonight, big accident through the tri-oval.
Peter, they almost did it. They almost got to the white flag, and then the gloves would have been off, and we would have raced back to the line. And some bad news for a lot of trucks out there. And I think our friend Steven Doziak is going to get back on the lead lap, so some good news for him. But our race sponsor, Jason Freeman, I mean, guys are just going for it at this stage in the race, and it's just a matter of how many trucks you're going to take out at that point. As Freeman does a wheelie, which is pretty impressive. And man, Peter, how many trucks do you think we got in there? That's at least about 6 or 7, and here come more getting in the fray.
Yep, that is very accurate. Look at these trucks spinning. Tellier backwards, JT Poole involved, Casey Miller, the 20 of Jason Freeman, the 62 Colin Ullery, Stephen Kegman involved, Vincent Valvano, James Arello was involved. There was some pretty big hits in this one. Let's see if we can go on board with Casey Miller here, because he had one of the hardest hits right there. You can see there was contact down below him. He just gets sent up into the fence, up and over once, and gets clobbered there by JT Poole back down the racetrack. Someone back there says, you know what, I'm just going to brake and hold the brakes and let everyone wreck. Wasn't sure who. I think that was Andrew Himmelman, who probably has a pretty interesting view of this accident. Let's see if we can get some interesting views of the incident here. Let's go on board with Vincent Valvano. He's going to be really interesting to see, because look at that, just glob of trucks up there, and fortunately Vinny becomes kind of collateral damage in this one as the track got completely blocked, and Vinny just got bullied like 4 times, just gets thump, 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 finally coming to a halt there on the bottom side of the racetrack. But let's see if we can actually kind of figure out what exactly happened here, because I think it happened up near the number 10 machine of Casey Brunson. Riding on board with him right here, just riding the back of Nick Chambron's 01 machine, and right there you can see him just give a little bit harder nudge to the 01. The 01 broke loose because of that. Somehow Chambron is going to get away with another one here, because he saved his 01 machine again. Unbelievable. Nick Chambron beaten up twice, kind of at the start of the madness twice, and somehow finds a way to get away. Probably a little bit more damage, but still able to potentially contend for the win here, as we will have overtime here in the Monday Night Thunder.
Tana wants to know if Andrew got any damage there, Peter, if we could get a look at him. And at this point, Peter, I think it's only fitting that I root for Nick Chambrone. I think he deserves to win it with the way his night's been going, the luck and the way he's wheeling that thing. So here we go, Tana.
Garrett, he used the pedal in the middle. They call it the brake pedal. And that brake pedal can work wonders when there's a whole bunch of trucks wrecking around you. And looks like, at least to me, that the SimShots number 8 is fine and dandy. So hopefully he can work his way up here when we go back green in just a little bit. But out there on the racetrack, Cam Caldwell is your race leader. The iRacing pace car lights continue to twinkle atop that Kia Audi, whatever you want to call it. It's a Kia and an Audi and a Hyundai all smashed together. Garrett, did you ever determine who was the lucky dog under this particular caution? I'm not exactly sure.
I believe it was Doze. It should have been Doze, no? Is he showing on the lead lap now?
Doze is still showing 1 lap down in the 20th position. Brian Bradley is 1 lap down in 18th. He's the first truck 1 lap down right now. Bob Giaquinto is a lap down. Vincent Valvano's a lap down. The only thing I can think of, Garrett, is that maybe all of those trucks were involved in that accident to some degree, got an incident point, and that will negate their ability to have a lucky dog. So we will have right now 14 trucks on the lead lap. When we go back green, Cam Caldwell is going to be your race leader. It looks like Jason Freeman, Ben Adams have called it a night. So they will, fortunately for both of those trucks, they will be in the garage and won't be coming back out into the mix. So, like I said, 14 trucks on the lead lap. Cam Caldwell, Jason Gracias, the number 49, Mitchell Adams, 12 of John Cannizzaro Jr., the number 9 machine, Jaron Hayes, and Nick Chambrone in the 01, involved in the 2 accidents that we've seen, and still out there trucking along. Bill Edwards in 7th, Jamar Dumas in 8th, Mike Floppy Tellier in 9th, and Andrew Himmelman, who has a clean SimShots Chevy. We'll see whether or not he can use that to his advantage here in these final 2 laps. Garrett, do you have any predictions? Do you think we're going to see another caution flag? Does the chat think we're going to see another caution flag? We could have another attempt at a green-white checker, another overtime attempt here in the Mason-Dixon ESports 150. We'll extend that to make it 150 plus here tonight with these overtime laps. What do you think, Garrett?
Peter, I think we're going to have another wreck. Now, whether or not it happens on the second lap here, or the to-go lap here, or it happens after we get the one to go, we will see. But I think they'll wad them up again. I'm hoping they could at least get to the white flag, but keeping an eye on a lot of these guys. Jason Gracias, Cam Caldwell, how about him showing up, saying, oh, I got time, let me come race TNR, just like J.D. Laird last week, and he's leading the race here with the green-white checker. And maybe Andrew Himmelman can make a run, or we still got Hazen in his debut there in the bottom lane. So a lot of good stories. Jamar Dumas has kept it clean all night. We haven't even talked about him. He's up there running in the 4th row. And get ready to go back green. It's still anyone's ball game. If you're in this lead group, you can win this race. Go give it hell, and let's see what happens.
Green flag, just waiting to see it fall for Cam Caldwell to hit the loud pedal. There it is. We're back to racing here at Talladega. The number 97 of Mike Floppy Tellier. He's just going to drop to the inside of the racetrack. Heavily damaged in that last incident. He will fall all the way back. That is about all she wrote for Tellier here tonight. Cam Caldwell is still your race leader. He got a good start. Garrett did not get too far out of the pack. Mitchell Adams going to jump up into second as, contact! Cam Caldwell gets pushed around, and he's going to spin down into the inside, trying to keep it off the inside wall. Just some minor contact there, and we stay green flag. That is extremely unfortunate for Cam Caldwell, who is making his first start of the season here tonight in the Total Nonstop Racing League Stay Tuned Sports Monday Night Thunder. But up at the front, Jason Gracias now to the race lead, and here comes Nick Chambrone with all the damage on the 01 machine, being pushed to the race lead by Mitchell Adams.
This is I feel like this is scripted like a WWE match, Peter. Nick Chambrone taking chair shots after chair shots to the head. He's been locked into the steel cage, and he's still battling for the lead. Jason Gracias and Canizaro getting a good run here on the bottom now, Peter. We'll see what these guys have coming out. Oh, Chambron's going to lose his help. Mitchell Adams getting wadded up behind him. And it looks like a 3-truck race here unless Andrew Himmelman and Bill Edwards can get together here.
And now look at this. They're being pushed up to the wall. Jason Gracias just pushed John Canizaro Jr. all the way up to the wall. Here comes Nick Chambron. He's starting to make some noise in the 01. It's, oh no! The 1 gets turned. The 8 machine now gets turned, and it's a 2-horse race. Canizaro trying to take the butt kicker money with Nick Chambron alongside him, the damaged 01 machine. And this is it, folks. Drag race, all the way to the finish line. The 01 machine of Chambron trying to get a little bit of side draft. We're coming to the line. It's going to be Chambron winning at Talladega, spinning down to the inside of the racetrack. Holy cow. Gets a little bit more damage, but he won't care. Winner, winner, Chambron chicken dinner.
Well, Peter, there's going to be a Dizzy Motorsports party, and I don't think you and I are going to be invited to it because we seem to be on the hit list. But Nick Chambron drove the wheels off that 01, and he deserves this win as much as anyone deserves a win in the history of iRacing. Nick Chambron, incredible drive, and burned the wheels off that thing. You were excited for a podium finish last week. I can't wait to hear your interview with this win. Congratulations.
Yeah, he was absolutely ecstatic with that podium last week at Darlington in the Nazareth scheme that he ran in our throwback race. And here he is getting the win. Not just wrecked once, but twice. And it really gets wrecked 3 times because he got wrecked there and the engine just went. The engine just blew up. We ain't even going to get to see Dizzy Motorsports get dizzy in the burnout. Nick, just coast the 01 machine down and start to do like some circles for us or something. But holy cow. And of course, I believe the butt kicker challenge, you only have to finish inside the top 3, Garrett. So I believe that is the buttkicker.com, thebuttkicker.com money going to the number 12 of John Canizaro Jr. So that's something. And of course, we had the big wreck on the final lap. That's a lot to break down. We're going to have to break this all down because that was a wild and zany final lap. And now we get to see an abridged post-race celebration here for Nick Chambron, who is no longer under power. And he'll just have to do some circles. I wouldn't call them donuts. I mean, I guess they kind of are donuts. Well, they're not really donuts because donuts, I think you have to lay down the rubber to make a donut shape for donuts. I don't know.
Peter, if this was real life, I think he'd get the Dizzy Motorsports crew out there and they'd be pushing that truck, and they would literally do the donuts pushing that truck because that's how crazy those guys are. But he made it back to the start-finish line, and let's just say he's doing a backflip there, Peter. I'm going to give him that. He stuck the landing, and it's a 10 out of 10 in my book.
Let's see what all went down on this final lap as there's the contact between the 9 and the 49 that kind of led to the first kind of contact. Alonso Chicano getting launched, Bob Giaquinto getting launched. Holy cow, the blue cone getting launched. The number 9 getting launched there kind of at the end of it. Then let's look at up here kind of towards the front because Canizaro in the number 12, he was weaving and bobbing. Oh, goes below the yellow line a little bit there, Garrett, to make that contact with the number 1 machine. I don't know what the rules were about the yellow line here tonight, whether they were in play or not on the final lap, because sometimes they are, sometimes they weren't. But look at this finish here. Just so close here at Talladega. Coming to the line, and there we go. That's your margin of victory between Nick Chambron and John Canizaro Jr. After all that we went through here tonight, just about a third of a truck separating them. Very awesome to see that. What a great race here tonight, all the way to the end.
Certainly was exciting, Peter, and wow, just wow. I mean, those between the last essentially two restarts there, we had that big wreck. Those guys were all going for it. We had a tremendous green flag run, and then I don't want to call him an upset winner because Nick Chambron's a very talented driver, but certainly with the truck he had tonight, with the damage, at least from our point of view, it was an incredible win. And tough break for Jason Gracias, man. He's leading so many of these races, coming to either the white flag or 2 to go, and he ends up finishing on the wrecker. And there's only so many times you could take that as a sim racer before you get fed up. And tough break for Gracias. And speaking of a tough break, Peter, I'm going to have to leave you now and let those do the interviews. So I'm sorry, my friend.
Oof, I have to do interviews with Doze? I mean, okay, Doze is awesome. But
Yeah,
Garrett...
thanks, Peter.
Oh, dang it, he's already here. Garrett, thanks as always being up here. Have a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy the Giants game, hopefully.
Yeah, you too, guys. Everyone in the TNR family, have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe travels, and we'll see you back here for the Monday Night Thunder Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series. I hope the next race is as exciting as this one was. Take care, everyone.
All right, well, let's see if we can dial up tonight's third place finisher, driver of the number 8 machine. Kind of came out of nowhere right at the end of the race. Andrew Himmelman, Peter Short, 3 wide TV booth. Got a copy?
Yep.
Well, it was kind of a quiet race for you towards the pack for most of it. That when we had the big one, it seemed like you were able to get on the brakes, keep that truck all in one piece. How do you think that affected your charge up to the front there right at the very end?
Well, I knew I wasn't going up there very early on or staying up there at any point, so that wasn't my plan. And I just feel like I feel like we won that if Jason doesn't wreck there. So, it is what it is, but kind of hurts to see that one go away. But happy to see John fighting for it, and congrats to Nick.
Yeah, definitely an interesting race here tonight at Talladega and the Mason-Dixon ESports 150. But we got some interesting races still left on the schedule. One of those is the Nashville Fairgrounds. What are your thoughts about going to Nashville?
It's always fun. I think I'll make most of the rest of the one. I'm not really sure, but that one's usually pretty fun. I know we didn't do I haven't done that in a league race and past season, unless it was in TNR, I can't remember. But it's always a pretty fun track, and should be nice for us.
Well, Andrew, definitely great to have you back up here in the 3 wide TV booth. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, my family for watching, my granddad, all the guys that put this on, and you guys.
All right. Well, Andrew, congratulations on finishing on the podium here tonight, and we'll talk to you again soon here on 3Y TV. Best of luck and have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it with tonight's third place finisher, Andrew Himmelman. Let's see if we can now go down to pick up tonight's runner-up, John Canizaro Jr. Does, also, I believe, picking up the buttkicker.com challenge money. John Canizaro Does.
John, the Wild Child Canizaro, do you have a copy?
Yes, I do, Doze.
Well, kind of like a double victory tonight. I'm sure you would have liked the first place finish and the butt kicker, but you do land yourself on the podium and the butt kicker. Tell us about that last lap there. Take us through your perspective.
On the restart, I told Mitchell, it's one of us has to win this. We're starting next to each other. Whoever gets out ahead, we're going to push to the win. And all of a sudden in my mirror, he's dead sideways. And I love Jason Gracias. He's a great driver to be around. He's helped me to a lot of wins, but I can't cut that much slack when you're blocking like that. So it is what it is. Unfortunately, it ended in him getting wrecked. Maybe he'll come back next week and win like he usually does. Otherwise, Nick had a pretty tough race. He's been backwards a few times. I drove him a little less hard than I usually would have. I didn't want to make his day even worse than it already was.
Yeah, you had a good battle there with Gracias, and then that photo finish drag race out of turn 4. If this was Daytona, it looks like you have the win, but everybody knows Talladega, that extended start-finish line, I guess you could call it, or that extra, however far it is, cost you a victory. But you did pick up the butt kicker coming from the tail end. Overall, P2 finish, taking home some cash. Sounds like you had a pretty good night tonight.
It does. I'll use that money for some new cars, and everybody's been yelling at me to get the well and modify it, so maybe that's where that'll be invested at. Other than that, I think it was a good day. Just hunt around the back, played some strategy out, and thankfully the wrecks at the end got us back up to the pack, because we were losing them at one point, and is what it is. Cards played out. Second place, I'll take it.
Yeah, and before we let you go here for your little holiday break, any special shout-outs you'd like to give?
Jimbo from STS Sports. I constantly forget to shout out the poor guy. I remembered you this time. My father, he's watching. Anybody else that's watching for me or just watching for the race, we're all glad to have you here. Gleason, all these TNR guys, they're really fun to race around, really fun to talk to, especially. Glad we could get some friends in here and have a pretty good race. That was pretty good to the last half. A little bit of wrecking, but over that, sim shots, all those guys are pretty fun to hang around in voice call. We always pick on me, unfortunately, and you guys for putting on the broadcast up here.
Well, John, we appreciate it. We love watching to see you make your decisions on track. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't. Make safe decisions out there this weekend with the holiday, and we'll see you back next Monday.
I'll see you.
All right, well, that's going to do it with tonight's runner-up, John Canizaro Jr. Picking up the buttkicker.com, thebuttkicker.com challenge here tonight. Great to have them on board and give out some money here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. But now it is time to go down to victory lane to a driver who, like a cat, has 9 lives. At least that's what it seemed like here tonight. As Nick Chambrone, you were wrecked probably about 4 times out there on the racetrack. There was one time, the very first time, where you had door contact. You had to save the truck, and you were just flip-flopping back and forth, and you just amazed all of us up here in the booth with the fact that you saved the truck. Then you got hit again in the tri-oval. Somehow, you ended up pointed in the right direction. Then you somehow put the entire beat-up truck on your back and carried it to victory lane. How about that? You were ecstatic with the podium last week at Darlington, but now victory lane at Talladega. Tell us about it.
Well, Peter, I tell you what, I wake up and I piss excellence, man. I'm the best there is. I'm just kidding. A little Ricky Bobby quote. It felt like I was in that Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker and Mankind back in the 90s. I mean, I'm going through tables. I'm going through the cage, blood and thumbtacks everywhere. And here I am sitting in victory lane, buddy.
Well, you know, it's funny because Garrett Gleason made a very similar analogy. He said it's like he keeps getting hit in the face with a chair and somehow, some way, is still battling for the win there at the end. And battle for the win you did side by side, one of the closest finishes that we've had here in the Total Nonstop Racing League. What was going through your mind in that final lap? Because you had drivers wrecking around you, and all of a sudden, it ended up being a 2-horse race at the checkered flag.
Yeah, after making it through all that stuff to get there, I was happy that I was restarting on that green-white checkered and the outside. I preferred to be in 4th, but I was in 6th. But I was like, okay, that's a good place to be because I noticed the top line could really get rolling, especially when the guys could pack up tight. I lost the lead there and dropped back to like 15th by cutting it to the bottom. And I said, I'm going to keep it on the outside. And I was able to do that. And then we came across to get the white flag there. And I had my nose out in front there, it looked like. I felt like anyways. And I saw some stuff happening behind me. And there was 2 guys left on the inside and me on the outside. I was like, shoot, I'm cutting down to the bottom. And it looked like there was another crash behind me. And then that battle for the lead coming down the backstretch. I mean, those guys were up at the wall. And then I was like getting closer. And then going into 3, then they're down at the yellow line. And I'm like, I might try to play a little safe here to run the top and see what happens. And it looked like John made some contact there. And I mean, the gates just opened up for me there. And we were running close. I gotta give John some credit there. He did run me nice and clean to the end there until we came out of the tri-oval. And I appreciate that. It's a lot of respect given there. He could have easily turned right and dumped me and ended the race right there and took the win. But I really appreciate how respectful he was at the end.
Yeah, it's always good to see a little bit of respect out there. Super Speedway racing is that type of racing that you never really know what your race will entail, and your race entailed quite a few chapters ending up in victory lane. But hey, we got Nashville Fairgrounds, a short track coming up for you next week, and then we round out the season at Homestead. I think you said you were pretty stoked about Homestead and the short track of Nashville Fairgrounds coming up last week. Any changes this week?
No, I'm just happy to be out here racing. I mean, I'm coming off a great run at Darlington last week and the win tonight. I mean, I feel like if anybody in the series is carrying some momentum, it's me right now. So hopefully, I can just keep ticking off some good finishes here, and we'll see how we end up with the points. I missed a race and took a provisional for that, but I was up there in the top 5. So hopefully we can keep having good nights for the Dizzy Championship Wrestling Machine, and we'll see what happens.
DCW, I tell you looked like you were in a wrestling match here tonight, that's for sure. Before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my lovely girlfriend Caitlin. I sent her a text to see if she tuned in or not. That she was doing some other stuff. Big shout out to Goon Motorsports guys for they're always beating us up here on Twitter and stuff. So I used some of that, putting that stuff on my back here in this race, and it paid off. I mean, looking at my sponsors here, Dizzy Championship Wrestling. Shout out to those guys: Hot Shoes Chips and Hot Shoes Grill and Bar, Dizzy Trucking. You can get your merch if you want the 01C sticker at dizzymerch.com. There's still a bunch available. They won't look as scraped up as the right side of my car, but just overall, excellent night. Very happy with it. Shout out to the guys at Dizzy Motorsports, and especially big shout out, final shout out here to Casey Miller. We work together a lot, talk strategy. He's not one of the Dizzy guys, but he's one of our buddies on here, and we were in the Discord together. Talk strategy, made a plan. Unfortunately, he ended early, but he helped me win this thing.
Absolutely. And the good news, Nick, you're up 2 positions in points. You're up to third, 16 points behind Bill Edwards, who is the points leader with just 2 races left to go. 16 points does sound like a lot, but with the momentum you have, it is not insurmountable. Mitchell Adams, second place in points, 7 points in front of you as well. So things looking good for the Dizzy Motorsports machine here to round out the season. Nick, good luck over the next couple of weeks. We'll see whether or not you can get to victory lane again.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate everything you guys do, and Garrett for putting this league on, and just awesome to be part of it.
All right, folks, that's going to do it with tonight's race winner, Nick Chambrone. What a night it was for him here tonight. Back-to-back post-race interviews here on 3 Wide TV. Let's see if we can bring up the final race results for all of you people back at home. Doze, why don't you take us through the top 10 finishers here tonight?
Well, Peter, you got to clear that up a little bit. First place, Nick Chambrone, John Canizaro Jr., Andrew Himmelman round out your top 3 podium finishers. Mitchell Adams, Colin O'Leary finish your top 5. Bill Edwards, Jamar Dumas, Jason Gracias, James Lorello, Jerron Hazen, top 10. Alonzo, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you can continue to go. Just go. Rattle them off.
You got it, Peter. Alonzo Chicano, 11th. Mike Floppy Tellier, 12th. Cameron Caldwell, 13th. JT Poole and Brian Bradley round out your top 15. Vinny Valvano, Ben Adams, Bob G and Quito, Kyle Zimmer, and myself round out your top 20. Casey Brunson, Casey Miller, got a shout out from Nick Chambrone. Jason Freeman, Steve Kegman, Fernando Matos is your top 25. 26th is Tristan Maher, Steve Bavacqua, 27th. Philip Scott, 28th. Jason Shue, 29th. Bradley Wilson rounds out your top 30. Nick Bradley, 31st. Gregory Gable, 32nd.
You skipped Garrett Gleason there, buddy.
Yeah, he was a commentator for the race.
Yeah, but he actually didn't finish last for once, according to our live timing and scoring, so that's a shock. Usually Garrett's at the bottom of the table, and it's not a shock if Garrett's at the bottom of the table. Let's be honest.
No, because when he does races, I've seen him finish last, so the fact that he didn't race and didn't finish last, it's a good day. Maybe the Giants will pull it off for him.
Maybe they will pull it off for him, but I don't think things are looking too hot for the Giants, so we'll keep that in mind. But definitely a great race here tonight, folks. We thank all of you for joining us here. Of course, this week is Thanksgiving week, and like at the top of the show, we said this, we'll say it again. To all of you out there, have a great Thanksgiving. We really appreciate all of you. We want to thank all of you for joining us, as always. We're really thankful for the viewership that we have here on the channel. We're thankful for the leagues that we have as well. They always put on a good show. They're made up of great people. and really want to entertain you at home. So thank you again. Have a great Thanksgiving. Stay safe and all of that good stuff. And we shall see ya.